saw. So how do you create and schedule your small groups?
So I try and think about small groups in a couple different ways. Small groups to me can be a nice time to kind of bring a group of kids together to do a project like building piñata or making maracas or doing a drawing and writing activity, which is kind of more fluid, and so the grouping might be about making a group of personalities that work together. But then when I do more kind of direct instruction with like around the building blocks, I try and group the students around kind of their development of numeracy, so that if I have a child who's counting easily to 20, and has cardinality, I wouldn't group them with someone who's still working on counting to 3. So kind of the more focus centers are a little bit more fluid and kind of just personality driven. But if I'm working on a small group that's around math or a particular literacy skill, then I try and think about who's in a similar place so that I can differentiate the group and make it most meaningful to them.
And how often do you change the groups?
The groups, well, it's pretty soon in the year, and after this 6 weeks of ton of assessment, we've been doing a lot of that. I haven't done too much moving of the groups yet, but if I see, oh, that child was like really good, mastered, counting to 10 and can tell me, is doing one-to-one matching, can tell me how much, I try and keep them, I would say I'll touch base and look back at my small group recording notes, every 2 weeks to make sure that they're not static and that everybody's getting what they need. So my dream schedule for how to do small groups, what I'm noticing now with a larger group of students,
how many do you
it's
have?
a lot, 20.
Okay.
20 SEI students. And I'm coming from inclusion where I had, anywhere from 10 to 15 depending on our enrollment. And so I'm still trying to kind of get the feel of how to make small groups for such a large group when there's so much going on. And as you'll hear in the video, Profesora, Maestra, everybody needs you. But what I'm finding is that the children are at their freshest. The most language you get, and just kind of ability to kind of deal with more of a teacher-directed task. My preferred schedule would be that we do some of that intensive small group work in the morning. A short, sweet, focused into group that is not too long. And while I'm doing a small group, I would have Miss Ann, my co-teacher, and my assistant, kind of facilitating play and working and helping students while I'm doing something short, sweet, and focused. Now, I know that some teachers, because of their schedule, have to do small groups during the focus time, and that's what we did today. We had centers, there was a lot going on. I'm sure you can hear in the background the maracas and the water table and all those things. So I kind of pull kids to come and do a teacher-directed activity. But if it was a math small group, it would be quieter, there would be more math centers going on, or even if it was a literacy group, everybody would be kind of engaged in something related to the literacy skill. Maybe a picture vocabulary bingo, or reading around the room, or doing a poem. So I'm finding that small groups are best done in the morning, but it really depends on every teacher, every group, and every schedule.
And whatever the activity is.
And whatever the activity is. So high demand work. At the end of the day, I probably wouldn't recommend it, if they're tired, it's extended learning time. So I think teachers just need to be flexible with what they have, who they have, and their schedule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you use documentation? You mentioned that you'd been doing assessments already.
Yes.
So those were probably the more summative ones.
Yeah.
So do you use any other kind of system of formative documentation and assessment to inform your small group?
Sure. Taking the small group recording sheets for the building blocks is really great, as I mentioned before, because you can really see what behaviors the students are doing. And I've even started doing little video snapshots of some of the small groups, because if you have a busy group and your group is not small enough, it's hard to catch everything everyone's doing. So I've been taking actually notes and video, so I can go back and see what are the strategies that they're using when they're counting. You know, if I have an array of 10 bears, and somebody just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's skimming, I can see, oh, they're not really doing that one-to-one matching, or oh, I noticed that somebody is touching and moving. So it helps inform my practice, what I'm going, my instructional decisions for the students, and it's, you get to kind of sit back and observe and notice. You know, sometimes I even will sit back and see who's going where, who's involved in what. Do some children avoid messy things? Are they aversive to it? So the notes are just a good way to kind of see the behaviors and skills and things that children are saying and doing, so you can plan appropriately, reflect and go forward. Yeah.
Sounds great. So I think you touched on it earlier, but your assistant teacher, paraprofessional, how do you include her? How does she help you as an instructional support?
Absolutely. So again, today it kind of depends on the type of small group that we're doing, but there are times when both of us will be doing a small group. She's an instructional para, absolutely, highly skilled and works with kids. And then sometimes what we'll do is we kind of zone the room. So I might take 10 on Monday, and she on one day, and she has 10 on this side, and it might be a small group with me, a small group with her, something kind of low demand like drama or sand, and then maybe in some book browsing or something they can do more independently. So there are days we are both doing something teacher directed, and then like today I was doing the writing, drawing, and writing group, and she was helping to facilitate and kind of support the students, because there's a lot going on in the center. So it kind of depends on the group, but she's definitely, you know, we kind of bounce ideas back and forth. How did that group go? What was challenging for them? Did they like the activity? And I wholly, you know, support her instructional work. Paras are not just meant to be making copies. And
so do you get time to plan with her?
Not as much as we would really like. The truth of it is that nap time is the time when we kind of, because we're both in the room, although really it's her lunch break and she should be taking it. But we sit and we chat and we kind of and touch base on how did that go? What do you think? What's next? Should we try different groups? I wish we had more set time to plan, and in the future maybe that can be something
that'll come out of it for sure. Well, just the last question. Anything else generally? Considerations advice you'd like to give people around small group instruction?
Sure. I mean, I think you've got to definitely consider your group. How independent is your group, and how much, you know, do they need you? Picking things that if you do have a table that is really teacher directed, that it may be low demand choices, so that they can happily be independent and work. Thinking about having your materials ready, prepped, prepared, ready to go. Today, Miss Ann and I prepared the choice plate. You know, beforehand, we kind of put the materials that we'll need for the centers in the area, so it's easy to just put them out. Thinking about grouping, thinking about personalities that are going to be supportive. If I have one student who's pretty nonverbal, I probably wouldn't put him with 3 who are overly talkative and are going to, you know, kind of overtake the group. So thinking about your personalities, the needs of the students, making engaging small groups, and tweaking them as you need them, and just being really intentional about why am I doing this. And I really think it's important for us to help crack the code for students. And so I don't mind teacher-directed small groups, because I believe I am helping them be explicit. It's not all day. They have lots of time to explore. It's short, it's sweet, it's targeted, because I don't want this learning to be a mystery. And especially with our second language learners. This is an SEI classroom. And I have the privilege and the joy of being a Spanish speaker. So I share the code a lot in Spanish, and then then transfer it to English. If I weren't a Spanish speaker, then there are a lot of other strategies that people use, but I think it
seems like that's especially helpful in a small group situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want small groups to be just short, sweet, focused. And when you think about like you're making a big pot of stew, you have all these ingredients. Choice time and self-directed play is like the hugest part of it. But then you need the small group. You need the whole group teacher directed. And so you want all those ingredients in there. And again, I would just say, keep at it. Don't give up. You can do it. And talk to your colleagues about what works for them. I love going to see what other folks are doing. And I learn from people all the time. And I am by no means an expert. I still have good and bad days, but we, you know, just keep at the work.